have their home in the context of material beings who are nonetheless capable of that sort of relation. So I'm wary of talking about a soul as if it were, as in the cartoons, a rather ghostly form of a body that sort of flies away into the middle distance. And I'm happier with a tradition you'll be very familiar with, talking about the soul as the form of the body. This is how this particular kind of material being has meaning, has communicative and self-communicative capacity.
And is this capacity for self-consciousness, the Aristotelian type of soul, is that created by God in each individual, or is it inherited from the individual parent?
I don't believe it's created directly by God, as if there is a list in heaven that God ticks off, sending people down in strict succession. It's something which, as several of the early Christian theologians say, emerges in the material life of people subject by subject. It's, to me, very interesting that in the 4th century you have a theologian like Gregory of Nyssa saying some quite evolutionary sounding things and saying, well, the soul doesn't come in separate. The soul is what gathers all this together when the material processes of development are complete. It's not that extra thing which has to be injected.
Do you believe in a soul,
Well,
Richard?
I think that consciousness, that phrase gathering together, is possibly quite insightful about what actually happens about consciousness in the development of a baby. And I think that there's been quite good suggestions that a baby is a sort of mixture of an assortment of different semi-individuals who gradually fuse themselves together to become what we think of as our individuality, as our conscious self. And I think there are some philosophers who feel that consciousness should be seen as a kind of illusion to bring together all the different aspects of our mind. But I thought, Archbishop, you didn't really answer what Sir Anthony was asking, because he wanted to know whether you believe the soul survives death. And
You didn't actually ask me that, but I'm quite happy to come to it.
I thought you did.
At the very beginning, but you're quite right, I didn't in the last moment, but please answer.
The short answer is yes. The long answer would take quite a while, so bear with me a moment. What it is that we develop in self-consciousness, in relationship to others and to God, is, for myself as a Christian, something which does not simply cease on material death. What it means that it doesn't cease, what it is for that relationship with God to advance, blossom, come home, I have no idea. I have a number of images, but no idea. And the confidence that I as a Christian have about that is not the belief that there's something in me that will survive. It's a belief in the kind of God who does not terminate the relationship initiated from God's side as I develop and grow. But could I just come back very briefly on one of your phrases about consciousness as an illusion?
Yes.
I've come across this sort of language, and I have to say it baffles me rather.
Yes.
Because if consciousness is an illusion, what isn't? I mean, the concept of an illusion presupposes that there is
that's
correct
fair enough. Yes,
way
that's
of
fair
perceiving.
enough. Yeah.
And I find that there's a lot of that slippage going on in some of the writing in this area. Consciousness is a mistake. But to talk about mistakes, we have to have a framework in which it makes sense to distinguish between a mistake and a correct observation. Consciousness is an illusion, but we need, therefore, a distinction between illusion and correct perception, or even, well, I could go on, but you see the point.
Yes.
And to say that consciousness is something emerging to resolve the problems, if you like, of discrete ETE perception is not quite the same as saying it's an illusion, or to say with Daniel Dennett that there is no evidence for consciousness. I scratch my head profoundly of that one.
I have a colleague who when one gets into this argument and they come to the point where one says, well, we don't actually have any evidence that any of the rest of us are maybe I'm the only one who is, and so on. And he finishes the conversation by saying, I'm not conscious. The thing that really baffles me about consciousness is that I can kind of see that one could program a computer to behave exactly as though it were conscious, to pass the Turing test, and actually fool people into thinking that it was conscious. But I still have trouble believing it actually would be. And yet I think I have to be committed to the view that it would be.
Well, I think it's sad that you're committed to that view. I think it's rather sad that you're committed to that view.
Well,
computers are human tools. They can't even add two and two together. They are tools that are used by human beings, by human programmers. They can't even tell the time, and they wouldn't know what to do it if they did.
Put it another way, if I may. Computers are, am I scientifically illiterate here, computers are binary systems, essentially, aren't they? That's what they work on.
at bottom they are, yes, but that may not be a very helpful way to put it.
But if they are fundamentally binary systems, does that mean that the way the human mind operates is invariably and always reducibly binary, or are there other?
Oh no, it's just a technical convenience that they're binary. I mean, what matters is the software, which builds upon the binary events that are going on at the base.
But then the question is, isn't it, whether the binary-based system of a computer can, given its dependence on input, given its dependence on certain fixed processes, whether it could move towards a state that was not, like our minds, able to operate in a non-binary.
No, I think it's a red herring with the binary. I mean, you could have a quaternary computer or an octal computer. I mean, it's just accidental that it happens to be an engineering convenience that computers are binary. Once you get into the realm of software, you can forget about there being binary.
Perhaps I could follow up Rowan's point by asking whether you think a computer has free will